this panel is obtaining the benefit and keeping it. I'm joined by Mark Lean of Osram, Sylvania, Carrie Mendelson of Imperial Lighting Maintenance, representing Nounco, Janet Lennox-Moyer with International Landscape Lighting Institute, and Jay Goodman of Luminoptics. Welcome. So Carrie, this first question is for you. Does the maintenance of LEDs present different problems for the owner and the lighting maintenance contractor compared to what we had before?
Yeah, I believe it definitely does. Although on the surface it seems that much less maintenance is required for LEDs, mainly because they last so much longer. The problem is that there are several problems inherent in servicing them. Number one, they need to be, you need a special expertise to be able to service them. Number two, they do need cleaning, regular cleaning, because they dim down over, LEDs dim down over time. And what Nalco members have found in the initial phases of servicing them is that there seems to be an inordinate number of LED drivers failing, and we have, they are easily replaced. However, there is no current standard for drivers, so there's a multitude of possible drivers that are out there, and the contractor then has to, in servicing them, must make two unique service calls. Number one, to go there and assess the problem and decide what is needed, and if a new driver is required, we have to go and order it and then make a second trip to install it. I understand that there is a consortium that has been formed by LED manufacturers to address this problem and try to come up with some standard drivers, but as of now that isn't the case, and drivers are failing, and we have been changing a large number of drivers to keep the LED system operating properly.
There's another issue about that, and that is that when a driver fails in a fixture, this industry is moving so fast that that driver may not be available. And there are so many differences in drivers. If a contractor tries to find one, they may find one that's not compatible, and so it can be a big problem.
And it goes beyond the driver to the chips as well.
And the
they
capacity.
may not, and the capacity. I mean, it's the entire system may not be available. And there's one more issue, and it is, I won't say it's unique to LEDs. We have the same problem with mercury vapor, but they continue to operate even when the light output has diminished to an unsatisfactory level. So when does someone know to replace them if they're still functioning? And 20 years from now, but they're not giving off a lot of light, they're still on, and they may very well be producing light levels that are unacceptable or well below the recommended practices from the IES. I worked with a large fast food chain recently who was demanding an end-of-life signal on luminaires, and they wanted it to be a red LED. And there was some sense within the company I was working with that may not be acceptable to everyone to have this red LED blinking on and off. Software will take care of this. If we move into a software area where it alerts you when you're reaching lower light levels or end of life, then that could be helpful. And of course, we're seeing our industry moving in that direction now.
We used to always determine end of life based on hours of operation, and that's what L70 is based on. But who takes care of tracking hours of operation? So we really do need some kind of warning system that will tell us that it's time.
Jay?
Absolutely, but even my bigger sticking point in servicing of LED fixtures is so many of the light engines are either proprietary or integral to the fixture, and so many drivers are either proprietary or integral to the fixture as well. So without the modularity of components, you don't have the historical benefit of the lighting industry of lamp fails, you can replace a lamp. The ballast ultimately will fail, you can replace a ballast. Coming from the retrofit side of the industry for years and years, we were routinely retrofitting fixtures that were 30, 35 years old. So when you have a LED luminaire where the boards or the light engine is integral to the fixture, and it has a 50,000 hour L70 life, or you have a driver similar, or if a driver's not heat sunk properly and it fails prematurely, you basically are selling and proliferating disposable fixtures. And it's a giant problem.
But good manufacturers today are providing their fixtures with interchangeable modules, even though they know that they're upgrading them over time. They're working with a standard format that can be taken out of the fixture and replaced with either the same, if it still exists, which it won't, or a new one.
I don't think Zaga's getting adopted quite as quickly as everybody would like.
It's not getting adopted.
No, but the manufacturers are doing it.
Yeah, but I looked at the mission statement for 12 of the new industry associations and consortiums that have cropped up in the last decade. 8 of them have cropped up in the last 5 years, and Zaga is one of them, along with TALQ, Connected Lighting Alliance. I mean, there's just a large number of groups that have sprung up in this industry that all have an agenda. They've got some mission to change things. And when you look at the common threads, the commonality is that 8 of them are concerned with interconnectedness, how products physically connect. And of course, we're talking LED because nothing else is being developed. So how products physically connect and how they talk to each other, how they communicate through software. So that was actually the number one, having 8 of them, the number one issue for future development. Number 2 was quality, surprisingly, and number 3 was efficiency for what their mission statement said that they were trying to achieve. It is good. It represents a significant change. But we aren't there yet. They're all in the process of writing those standards that we need and trying to change the industry.
Carrie, are manufacturers standing behind their warranties pretty well with LED?
Yes, I would say for the most part that they are. We deal with one company that makes LED drivers, and there is a very fair reimbursement for labor and replacement materials. So yes, I would say in general that is the case. There are I've seen other warranties that where they make it very difficult to actually back up the warranty in terms of, I believe Jay was referring to it, where they require you to actually take a fixture out of the ceiling and send it back for testing. And so they have a 10-year warranty, but who's going to take advantage of that if they have to take the fixture out of the ceiling? And so there are roadblocks, but in many cases we are finding it's a fair warranty.
I want to say something about that because on my projects and talking to other lighting designers across the country, we're finding completely the opposite. That there's 2 problems with warranties. One is that the fixture manufacturer can't get the products from the LED chip manufacturer or driver manufacturer, so they're not being supported. And if it's a lamp, the lamps are moving so quickly, the lamp manufacturers are not supporting their warranties in some cases, and that's a huge problem in this industry right now.
So, Carrie, I would assume in your position with lighting maintenance, you much prefer modularity, correct?
Yes.
And aren't most of the fixtures today modular, where you can actually replace the drivers?
Yes.
They're going in that direction,
Yes.
definitely.
But there are still some that are not.
There are some.
So, Carrie, you've got a few case studies. Would you like to share those with us?
Yeah, sure. A couple kind of everyday type retrofits or fixture change out that we have done and my company has done in the Chicago area, but it's very typical of what's going on throughout the country. The basis of this is very generous local utility rebates. In the first instance, for a larger installation, over 100 kilowatt hour usage, our local utility gives 50 cents per watt reduction. So we went to an auto repair shop in the Chicago area. They had 28 400 watt metal halide high bay fixtures. We converted them to 28 130 watt LED fixtures. The total cost of the project, as you can see, is $14,650. The energy savings totaled $3,343 per year based on about 10 cents per kilowatt hour. And they got a utility rebate, a one-time payment of $7,900. And again, that's based on about 50 cents per watt saved. We figured that in this case the payback was 3 years, but as importantly, they got much better lighting quality. They got maintained light levels compared to what they had before, much better maintenance, and virtually no maintenance down the road for the next 7 to 10 years,
Now,
essentially.
does your calculation include maintenance savings?
No.
Or just energy savings?
No, this is strictly based on energy.
savings.
Yes, and it's rather difficult to quantify the actual maintenance savings, but in fact there is considerable maintenance savings. Yes.
Okay. Your next.
And just to be clear, you gave them the same or better maintained light levels?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Which you probably could have reduced and still had it have the same perceived brightness.
Yes, based on the other panels, yes, I believe that would be the
They
case.
just wouldn't have necessarily accepted
It
that.
was
It's a harder sell
it's a
because
much
it's
harder
not.
sell. Yes, it is.
I worked with one of the large home center groups and did their initial LED lighting. I was involved in the project, and the reduction in light level by eliminating that nadir dump at the base of the metal halides that they had on site. They were at 16-foot candles underneath these quad metal halide fixtures, and their low point was 0.8-foot candles in their parking lots because the uniformity was awful because of the nature of that lamp. So what happened was I was able to take, the group that we were able to take their light level down to 1.6-foot candles at the base and maintain 1.2 at the low point. So it was great. It saved them 83% in their operating costs. And that's what we told them, and we showed them the math, but they still were skeptical. So they did another store and brought in a third party to do separate metering of the lighting. And indeed, they got 83% energy savings, and the light level looked good to their security team. But it was just wasted light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Carrie, your next study, please.
Yes. This is a warehouse, again in the Chicago area, that this had this is a more dramatic, as you can see, a more dramatic payback. They had 45 400-watt metal halide high bay fixtures, and we decided to convert this one to a 6-lamp 28-watt T8 high bay fluorescent fixture with occupancy sensors. The unique thing about this one was that it qualified for the under 100 kilowatt hour usage, in which case they were given a utility rebate of 86 cents per watt. So the project cost, as you can see, is $14,447. Their energy savings is $4,979 per year. Utility rebate totaled $12,646. Their payback was 4 months. It was significant. They had much better lighting quality. Keep their maintained light levels much better.
And Carrie, why did you choose fluorescent over LED for this retrofit?
I believe it was more advantageous. I think for the customer to go this way, they wanted to keep their costs down and their bottom line costs down as much as possible, and this allowed them to do that. As you can see, they got all their money back in 4 months.
So initial cost of the fixture
the initial cost was much less than the LED. Yes.
Did you run a comparison between LED and the fluorescent?
We did.
Okay.
We did.
And this is what they chose.
Yes.
Very good.